Hey, brother! The Thestral problem. It has plagued the Harry Potter fandom for years, and if you don't know what we're talking about, it has to do with why and when and how Harry can begin to see the Thestrals. I can see them too. You're just as sane as I am. Thestrals, as a reminder, are the winged black horses that live in the Forbidden Forest and pull the carriages up to the school, and which remain invisible until you have witnessed death. And some people might say that Harry should have been able to see them the entire time because he was present for the death of his mother as a baby and even has vague memories of the event. Then some others might say that those were too vague and without context, but after the Dementors showed up in Prisoner of Azkaban, he should be able to see them then because the memories were clearer and stronger. Then don't even get me started on Quirrell's death in Philosopher's Stone. He was certainly there for that death, wasn't he? But the real issue, and the one that has definitely caused the most amount of speculation, comes at the end of Goblet of Fire and the beginning of Order of the Phoenix. Because upon arriving to school in Harry's 5th year, he can at long last see the Thestrals and is confused by the mystery of them for a good portion of the year. There's nothing there, Harry. They're pulling themselves like always. Oh, Hermione. You're wrong. They're not pulling themselves. Right? Right. They're Thestrals, right? Yeah. Am I remembering it correctly? I'm messing with you. Which, there's no problem, right? He saw Cedric die at the end of Goblet of Fire. And yes, now we have a very obvious case of Harry definitely seeing someone die. So the Thestrals should be visible. The issue, though, is this passage here at the end of Goblet of Fire, which also takes place after Cedric's death. Hermione turned away, smiling at the horseless carriages that were now trundling toward them up the drive, as Crumb, looking surprised but gratified, signed a fragment of parchment for Ron. Why can't you see the horses yet, Harry? What's the deal? Well, at long last, I think we've finally discovered the true root of the problem and exactly why and how this discrepancy truly exists. Hey, brother! Okay, so let's tackle the elephants in the room first things pronto, because I know we're not the first to tackle this question. Heck, I'm not even sure that this is even the first time we've tackled this particular question on this channel. We've all got some variation of an answer inside of our heads.
Of course it's happening inside your head, Harry.
Explanation number one, in my mind, the most truthful actual answer to this question is that Thestrals just didn't exist yet at the end of Goblet. Plain and simple. Horseless carriages just seemed like a funny and whimsical piece of magic that's kind of eerie and also kind of not. The boats that take the first years across the Black Lake also seem to travel of their own accord, or possibly thanks to giant squid locomotion. Full video by clicking the card. But either they weren't invented by the author upon completion of Goblet, so they were not included, or they were, and it was just a total mistake, slip of the mind. It's like a whoopsies! And boom, bam, there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. No, I'm just kidding. That's obviously not it, because as is sometimes the case in a fantasy world, the explanation of things aren't found within the pages of the story, but externally on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. And honestly, I don't always hate this. Sometimes it's just not plot-centric as to how something happens, so it goes unexplained, and we need the highest authority to add some weight to the debate. Such is true in this instance, where we could pull the following from, in this case, the Pottermore archives. After the death of Cedric Diggory, weeks elapsed before the full import of death's finality was borne upon him. Only at this point did the Thestrals that pulled the carriages from Hogsmeade Station to Hogwarts Castle become visible to him.
What is it?
And I mean, this makes the rules a little wishy-washy and maybe a tad vague, but also let's not pretend like it's not an incredibly traumatic event that happened to Harry. And so if that works for you, then that works for me too. Carry on. However, Jay and I here at SCB have a saying. There's no such thing as plot holes, simply opportunities for theories. And this case in particular presents a spectacular opportunity to make everything fit, using exactly what we already have. There's no need to actually step outside of the canon. It's all there. It just took us 20 years to finally see it. Or maybe in this case, I should say, fully process what actually happened. You see it there? It's like process, Thestrals, invisible. It's a meta. You get it. That being said, I know this is a big question tons of people had, so let's take it step by step and make sure we cover all of our bases.
Thanks for pulling the carriage, Harry.
But y'all, we got to take a brief pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, AG1. And boy howdy, am I excited for this one. AG1, if you are unfamiliar, is a daily health drink that is packed with benefits. Anything from boosting energy to improving digestion and gut health, immune system, or just filling in the gaps in the nutrition from the food you eat. And it's dead simple. All you have to do is add a scoop of AG1 to a glass of water, mix well, and consume over 75 different vitamins, pre- and probiotics. Oh yeah, it's a twofer. Don't go making twofer jokes. You know what I mean. Probiotic people out there, it's a poop joke. Here's the honest truth. Our whole team is on the AG1 morning ritual. We had that healthy skepticism of a kale green drink and all dropped our glasses being like, wait a second. Is this kind of good? The flavor defies all expectations. It's almost kind of like a sort of vanilla, but it's got like a banana-like creaminess. It's hard to describe. Beyond the taste, the daily impact is immediately noticeable. I genuinely feel more energized. Can you tell? I'm like all wiggly today. We've also even just talked about like how much of a game changer this will be like when we're out on tour here in a couple of weeks because we're out there eating a strange diet and we're working long days. But AG1 ensures that we're getting everything we need. If you want to check it out for yourself, simply head on over to drinkag1.com/Carlin to subscribe for less than $3 a day. And if you use our link, you'll also get a free welcome kit with a shaker bottle, 5 AG1 travel packs, and more with your first purchase. One more time, that's drinkag1.com/Carlin. Thanks again to AG1 for sponsoring today's episode. Link in the description down below. Now back to the video. First of all, why can't Harry see the Thestrals upon the death of his mother? Well, I think this one's pretty basic. He actually didn't see it. All of his memories of that particular instance are just the blinding green light and the sounds of the room, and even that light is the spell hitting himself, not Lily. Sometimes when he strained his memory during long hours in his cupboard, he came up with a strange vision, a blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead. This he supposed was the crash, though he couldn't imagine where all the green light came from. He couldn't remember his parents at all. So that's Harry trying as hard as he can to remember, and he can't. It's just the curse hitting him. It even says that he couldn't remember his parents at all. But then there are the Dementors. When Harry meets them in year 3, he starts getting much more intense memories from this particular scene. Here's what we know he hears. On the train, it's just Lily screaming. Then during the Quidditch match, "Not Harry! Not Harry! Please! Not Harry! Stand aside, silly girl! Stand aside now! Not Harry! Please! No! Take me! Kill me instead!" And then training with Lupin, "Lily, take Harry and go! It's him! Go! Run! I'll hold him off!" The sounds of somebody stumbling from a room, a door bursting open, a cackle of high-pitched laughter. In all cases, I think it's worth noting that he's just hearing things, not seeing anything. His thoughts are shrouded in a white fog. Plus, we know he doesn't even hear Voldemort cast the Avada Kedavra spell because he won't learn it until the following year. So, horrible, yes, of course, but did Harry actually witness anything from the Dementors? No, he just heard the nightmares. But maybe they shouldn't have even mattered, because long before the Dementors even show up, Harry spent time down in the Chamber of Secret Obstacles with Quirrell, who also died in front of him. Or did he? This one I think the film muddies the waters the most because it sure seems like Harry just murders Quirrell, but it's quite different in the book. The pain in Harry's head was building. He couldn't see. He could only hear Quirrell's terrible shrieks and Voldemort's yell of, "Kill him! Kill him!" And other voices, maybe in Harry's own head crying, "Harry! Harry!" He felt Quirrell's arm wrenched from his grasp, knew all was lost, and fell into blackness. Down, down, down. Do you see? He couldn't see, and also totally blacks out before Quirrell actually dies, either way. So, had he been awake, he couldn't see anything, but he wasn't, so there you go. Didn't witness death. And also, just to be super clear about it, Harry is not the one who killed him either, despite what they show in the movie. It is Voldemort leaving Quirrell that ultimately kills him. But then we get to Cedric, the most complicated situation of the lot. Because here's the thing. Whether you think it was a matter of processing Cedric's death or not, whether you think the Thestrals were invented or not, it doesn't matter. Harry does not see Cedric die. The book even doubles down on this. First, his wand slipped from his fingers as he put his hands over his face. His knees buckled, he was on the ground, and he could see nothing at all. His head was about to split open. It really is amazing how often Harry could see nothing at all, isn't it? Either way, then we get this. From far away, above his head, he could hear a high, cold voice say, "Kill this man!" A swishing noise, and a second voice which screeched the words into the night. "Avada Kedavra!" A blast of green light blazed through Harry's eyelids as he heard something heavy fall to the ground beside him. Are we splitting hairs on what it means to witness death? Yes, we absolutely are. However, it does seem to make a difference here. Because really the problem isn't that he can't see the Thestrals at the end of Goblet, it's that he can see them at the beginning of Order of the Phoenix. So what happens over the summer that makes a difference? Or maybe even more specifically, what happens this very night in the graveyard? Well, as the wise Elsa from Frozen once said...
Well, actually, a bridge has two sides.
No one expected that clip from a children's animated movie in a video about death, did they?
Their parents are dead.
Is Frozen a kid's movie? Does Elsa die at the end of Frozen 2? I think she does, but But the bridge thing, that really is the point that we need to try and make, because up until Voldemort's resurrection, we know that Harry has brief glimpses into Voldemort's mind, or at least glimpses of his surroundings.
There's a reason Harry can speak with snakes.
This is side number 1 of the bridge. Harry has Voldemort inside his person and gains unusual access to Voldemort at unique times. This happens most significantly at the beginning of Goblet of Fire, when Harry witnesses the death of Frank Bryce in a dream, and again later in his 4th year, when Harry again dreams about an eagle owl flying to deliver the news of Barty Sr.'s death. Which is actually like the goofiest chapter art that we get in like the whole saga. Harry's like actually like riding the owl, and it's just pure silliness. Both of these scenes are really significant though, not only for the insight that Harry gains on what Voldemort is up to, but the perspective of those visions.
A little perspective.
Take the following passage. Slowly, with his face screwed up, as though he would rather have done anything than approach his master in the hearth rug where the snake lay, the small man walked forward and began to turn the chair. And then the chair was facing Frank, and he saw what was sitting in it. Harry isn't seeing the scene from Voldemort's perspective. He's not in the chair turning to see Frank standing in the doorway. He's viewing the scene almost as a third-person point of view, looking on as it unfolds. But then something really important happens in Goblet of Fire. Voldemort takes Harry's blood, and this is side number 2 of the bridge. And from that point on, anytime Harry gets a vision, it is no longer a third-person perspective, it is a first-person perspective. Like, for example, when Nagini attacks Mr. Weasley. Harry is terrified that it was him who did it because he saw the whole thing from the point of view of the snake. Were you perhaps standing beside the victim, or else looking down on the scene from above? This was such a curious question that Harry gaped at Dumbledore. It was almost as though he knew. I was the snake, he said. I saw it all from the snake's point of view. Then, when Voldemort is hunting the Elder Wand, he sees the events from Voldemort's point of view again. Give it to me, Gregorovitch! Harry's voice was high, clear, and cold, his wand held in front of him by a long-fingered white hand. As Harry spoke, his scar burned worse than ever, and for a few seconds he looked down, not upon the wand-maker, but on another man, who was just as old, just as thin, but laughing scornfully. Do you see what I mean? This shift is really subtle, because we've always known that Harry can enter Voldemort's mind, but how it works has changed. And now some of you may rightly point out that when Harry sees Voldemort torturing Sirius in the Department of Mysteries, it's third person again. But that didn't really happen, did it? That's a memory specifically planted by Voldemort. It's the kind of thing that Dumbledore likely would have seen through immediately and known that it was a hoax, given that he asks about the perspective during Arthur's attack. But because of someone, he happens to not be present for that.
Me to remind you.
It's Umbridge. She's the someone. And I hate her.
I will have order.
But with all that in mind, then let's also revisit yet another vision we know Harry has after Goblet, but before order really takes off properly. I heard you last night, said Dudley breathlessly, talking in your sleep, moaning. What do you mean? Harry said again, but there was a cold plunging sensation in his stomach. He had revisited the graveyard last night in his dreams. Dudley gave a harsh bark of laughter and then adopted a high-pitched whimpering voice. Don't kill Cedric! Don't kill Cedric! Who's Cedric? Your boyfriend? First of all, Harry wishes. You see the jawline on that guy? I mean, wow. But also, we're only 1 month out since the events of the graveyard. The bridge with 2 sides, so to speak, is fairly brand new for both Harry and Voldemort at this point. So it's not surprising that Harry may revisit this moment in his dreams, given the dramatic nature, but it's also not absurd to think that Voldemort himself may also be revisiting that same scene. It is, after all, a really big plan that kind of went wrong for him, but also kind of right. He did come back to life, so. Point is, if it's Voldemort's vision that Harry's seeing and not his own, then finally Harry actually is witnessing Cedric's death with eyes wide open. In fact, there's also this passage. Because even when he escaped nightmares about Cedric, he had unsettling dreams about long, dark corridors, all finishing in dead ends and locked doors, which he supposed he had something to do with the trapped feeling he had when he was awake. And to me, this all but confirms that Harry's viewing into Voldemort's mind, because the corridor in question is at the Department of Mysteries, and the reason why Voldemort is dwelling on it is because it's where the prophecy that he's going to spend the next 830 some odd pages trying to gain access to. And it doesn't work. Long story short, Harry didn't personally see Cedric die in the graveyard, but afterwards, he began seeing through Voldemort's point of view in his visions and did see it from that vantage point in his dreams, which is why he can see the Thestrals in order, but not at the end of Goblet. Goodness, you guys, I cannot believe we have finally gotten to the bottom of this particular question, because it has just been so frustrating for so long, and it's like, we have the quote about the whole, like, plot holes thing. No plot holes, only opportunities for theories, and yet it was always kind of like, we can't figure this one out. But really, honestly, what we have to give huge thanks to is not just what we're doing over on our podcast through the Gryffindor, but also the people who are, like, tuning in and submitting questions inside of reviews and stuff like that are getting us to think outside of our own box. So if you haven't checked out that podcast yet, I definitely recommend it, just right over here. Otherwise, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future Harry Potter action from us. Also, don't forget that we're going on tour in the Midwest starting like in 10 days from the current present if you're watching it in real time. So link in the description to tickets to that if you want to come see us live in person. But otherwise, until next time, bye! Don't forget to eat cheese.